You are now tuning into VIBEZ.
Try. What you mean, try? You better get it done. You keep waiting on other people, you're going to always be waiting on other people. Thank you, Eric. Girl, you the best. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of VIBEZ, the podcast. It's me. And before I keep tweaking and over here losing my mind, we're going to get into the song of the week. This week's song is by somebody named Daniel D. Artiste featuring Nery. And this is called Dominoes. Y'all, this song is actually hot, so check it out. And I'll be right back. Listen to the song. Got it? Okay, good. I'll be right back.
Call me baby. I called you mommy like you raised me. I'm waiting for you while you daydream. Swear it's always been the same thing. I get to thinking, then I say things. I want yes or no, and you say maybe. Call me back, don't call me crazy. Crazy, baby, I don't know. If you're waiting on me, let me know. If you don't save it for me, I'ma know. I love to watch you, but it's time to go. Yeah, we stay up on the phone. You tried to tell me something I don't know. You showed a code, I swear I almost rose. You say it's black and white like dominoes. You say this, you're say this. Yeah, I love you on the pages. Bitch, I see you on the playlist. But I love you, I don't know. I want you to flash by this empire, breaking me down. All this vintage crown, rip G's and stitch me down. Verse 2, you make me think I don't deserve you. You swear I do this shit to hurt you, but tryna play me is the worst move. So I had to hit you with the verse 2, with everything I did to earn you, with everything I crash and burn through. This is all I had to turn to. I turn to the same way as before. I don't want anybody else to know. Just need my family, that's how I roll. We gotta handle things, then let me know. I'ma lay low in my zone. No more phonies blowing up my phone. I changed my number when you change your soul. I guess it's black and white like dominoes. You say this, you're say this. Yeah, I love you on the pages. Bitch, I see you on the playlist. But I love you, I don't know. I want you to flash by this empire, breaking me down. All this vintage crown, rip G's and stitch me down. Stitch me down. Stitch me down.
All right, y'all, we're back. That was Daniel D. Artiste. You all can find him on SoundCloud, Apple or iTunes, and Spotify. The name of the song is called Dominoes, and that is featuring Nery. I think they're both white, but they get a pass. You know, they get a pass on this week's show because the music is hot. Y'all go make sure y'all follow them. Again, they're on Spotify, Apple, and SoundCloud. Daniel D. Artiste, and the last name is D''Artiste, cause he fancy. and he can't really spell. But go and support them. All right, you guys. So you already know what time it is. Let's get into some black shit. Girl, what's all this black shit? I don't know, black ass shit. Y'all, I also wanted to mention, so that I don't be rude, that I have my friend Ashley here, so I can have a real life person to talk to. And she's going to be here commenting on all of this shit, okay? So this week, y'all can't just get tired of me talking, because I have somebody else, y'all. So, Ashley, say hey to the people.
Hey to the people.
You ain't shit. Just say hey one
Quick
time.
question.
Yes.
So you only play black people on the podcast for the music?
No, I play white people.
Oh, you said they get a pass this week. That's why I was like, what you mean?
For this week, because last week I didn't play no white people, you know. I haven't played a white person in about, 3-4 weeks. Because the week before, or 2 weeks before, it was a Hispanic man. I forgot his name. I'm not going to be racist. I'm going to say Jose. But I really think that was his name. I think so. I really think that was his name. I play everybody. Everybody has a fair chance of getting you music on here. As long as you have good music. Because otherwise, I almost made a mistake, y'all. Oh, before we get into black shit, let me tell you how I almost made a mistake. And I'm pretty sure he's going to listen to this. So there's this Australian rapper, right? And I mentioned this on last week's show. Australian rapper found VIBEZ podcast on Facebook. And then he asked if he could be on the show. And I was like, sure you can. I was like, are you into music? And he sent me some links. And I had already told him yes. And then I had already booked him to be on the show. And the day of, literally like 2 hours before I was to record, I was like, first off, let me actually listen to the music. You listen to the music. Ashley, what you think about his music? Sorry, little Australian man, but your shit was trash. Okay, I was like, Jesus, no. I'm not putting this on my podcast. I'm not doing it. I won't do it. Sorry, sir, but you couldn't get on here. I wasn't gonna do it. All right, so now let's go back to black shit. All right, y'all. So first up, this is what I don't have time for. So there was the black pastor, and I don't remember his name.
I remember the last name was Scott. I don't remember his first name, but I know his last name was Scott.
Okay, so the black pastor Scott. There was like
just say Pastor Scott.
Black Pastor Scott. That's what I'm gonna call it. So they were having a meeting to figure out. It was like a lot of different pastors around the United States were having a meeting with Donald Trump about how to improve prison reform and recidivism. Right? Right. And then Black Pastor Scott told Donald Trump that he was the most pro-black president we've ever had. Now...
Yeah, he lost me. I never heard of Scott. I may have seen a picture of him. I never heard of him. So this is like, I don't know where you're going with this, but this is my whole take on the thing, right? I feel that anybody that is not, and I don't want to say like overgeneralized, but anybody that is not in support of Trump, and that's a person of color, if he's willing to meet with them, that's great. I was all for it. I'm a Christian. I'm like, I don't know what God done told these people. I don't know what they didn't pray for. And I hope, that's great if they can get prison reform and get programs for people that get out of jail or prison. But this man lost me when he said that he's the most pro-black president we've ever had. I think he does not understand the meaning of pro nor black. If you just go back and look at his tweets alone, don't even go and look at any live interviews he's done. Just look at tweets alone. And he's further proven that by the comments he made about LeBron and Don Lemon earlier this week. So that was my own personal issue with not even so much with the pastors meeting with him. If anything, y'all can lay some hands on Trump or something. I don't know. But I don't know, that rubbed me the wrong way when he said he's the most pro-black. And if you look at the video, no other pastors shook their head in agreement. Everybody was just sitting at the table, just silent. And I felt like, somebody could have spoke up and like, nay, and gave their reason and why. And maybe they didn't want to give a reason why because that's not what they were originally there for, to support or agree if he's pro-black or not. And if you got any kind of common sense, you would know he's definitely not pro-black. So, that was just my whole take on that pastor and his comment about the meeting.
Black Pastor Scott. Here's my thing. I really dislike when a group of African-American men, predominantly, well, they're usually all pastors, go to White House meetings, because this is the second time this has happened, right? Or is this the third meeting? They've had what is it? Pastor congregation meeting before at the White House with Donald Trump.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they've had this before, but I really dislike when it's nothing but African-American pastors there, supposedly representing prison reform. And it's like, this is not what y'all are here to talk about, because at that point, I feel like y'all are just here for exposure, because now you're just trying to get money. And then, this is not even about Pastor Scott, but then going into, the same meeting, we also found out that, y'all favorite TV pastor, John Gray, was in there because he's trying to get some money. And then I'm reading an article that he's trying to get $800,000 for an air conditioner. First off, what kind of air conditioner do you need that's going to cost almost $1 million? Who is you cooling off? How many of y'all hot? Y'all going through the change? Is you sweating on your back? Is your grandma, post-premenopausal? What's going on? Your granddaddy got hypertension? What he got? Because I'm trying to figure out why the fuck an air conditioner costs so much money. If you don't go get 300 air conditioners from the Home Depot for $100 each and spread them all around the church, I'm really trying to figure out $800,000 for an air conditioning unit. How high?
I mean, personally, I didn't know anything about that. This is my take on how I feel about how Black people are pretty much rubbed the wrong way about this, because Black people in general, I believe, has always had a tug-pull 50-50 type relationship with the church, just based off of how slave masters try to control Black people with Christianity, manipulating them with it. And then once they pretty much, broke away from that, went to the civil rights movement, understanding who God is and starting their own churches and able to be amongst one another. Mm-hmm. And, people having their certain feelings about the church, maybe being molested from people within the church, or not being accepted by the church, or they're homosexual, or maybe they had a child young and, they got exposed by the church. So it's always been a kind of back and forth thing with a lot of Black people have had with churches. Now, to your point, which I don't understand why maybe it wasn't, maybe other pastors or other nationalities weren't willing to meet with Trump, or maybe they didn't have the time. I don't know why it was only all Black pastors. I don't think the responses or the comments or the uproar to it would have been as big had there been multicultural multicultural group of pastors, meaning Chinese pastors, Black, white, Mexican, Puerto Rican, Indian. I don't think it would have been as much as a uproar versus just saying Black.
It definitely
all Black pastors.
It wouldn't have been an uproar because the society and especially social media would have seen it as a diverse panel in which everyone of different cultures and backgrounds had an opportunity to present their issues or their opinions. So that wouldn't have been a problem. I think my main problem is the pastor getting up there and basically putting on a show of coonery. Because what you're not going to do is sit here and tell this extremely racist man who displays racism every day that he's the most pro-Black president we've ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, because if that ain't coonery, then I don't know what it is. It's like, are you trying to get on his good side so you can get additional money? Do you want fame? You trying to get in the spotlight? Like, what is your agenda? Because at that point, it's like you have to have an agenda. For you to get up here and to say something like this, that's so ridiculous. And then to see the looks of the other pastors, and they're clearly not in agreement with you. Because now you're just saying bullshit for no reason. So that's my issue. Y'all, please go get y'all own.
And now that I thought about it, when you think about what's the main ethnicity that's populated by jails and prisons, it is black people. And so that, yes, somebody could bring up the point that makes sense why it's it was all panel black pastors. But when you talk about Christianity, when you talk about really want to transform lives, it shouldn't just be one ethnicity being represented. If this was any other issue, if it was they wanted to call a meeting about an opioid issue in white suburbia and all races, all backgrounds and pastors came together, then everybody was like, oh man, that's the Christian thing. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to stick by our brethren and da-da-da. But because it's all black pastors, the backlash was a little different. And like you said, you never know what people's full intention is. Some people are really there to try to get prison reform. Some people could have had their own sneaky intentions and been there trying to get money and fame. You never really know. Only time will really tell. But I think out of everything that rubbed me the wrong way was just Scott saying that Trump was pro-black, and then Trump just sitting there like he like the most angelic thing on earth. Like I just couldn't take it. Like I really couldn't.
I just want to say that Trump sitting there pretending to be angelic is ridiculous because he's too pale to be an angel.
He's so stupid.
I mean, angels are just pure white as snow. Trump is like white as an orange. So you can't be an angel, sir, because you're not the right color.
That's not where I was going, but I think y'all know where I was going.
All right, y'all, we have to move on. We've been talking about this one issue, I swear to God. But we're going to talk about this because of the topic of the week. So, moving on, y'all favorite uncle, my favorite uncle, I'm going to call him Granddaddy because he's near death. Quincy Jones has a documentary that's going to premiere on Netflix next month. And when I tell y'all I'm so excited about this, because he already exposed our Uncle Michael.
That's all I say. Like, is it supposed to be a continuous thing of what people... Like, I never seen the full interview he did when he was exposing everybody, but I remember everybody talking about it. So is this supposed to be a continuation of...
I don't know, because they didn't clarify it on Netflix, but I'm excited because I feel like that's what it's going to be about. Like, I'm looking forward to him exposing more people so that I can know what's really going on in these celebrity lives. Okay, because Quincy, he's about 88. I probably aged him, but he's up there. He only got about 7 good years left on the earth,
stupid.
right?
I can't stand you.
So I need to know everything that happened to everybody. And this man has been working for decades. So the amount of information and the stories that he has, I just want to sit and have a drink and look at this whole Netflix
I'm pretty
series.
sure it's definitely going to be entertaining. I just want to know, why now?
Because he's gonna die. What you talking about? Why now?
I mean, why he can't just take some of that stuff to his grave? Why he got to put everybody's business out there? Okay, so it was the, I forget whose channel I was watching on YouTube or what I was listening to on the radio or something, and Faith Evans admitted to
I don't even have time
basically
for that right now. Eating booty like groceries.
Yeah, on Biggie Smalls, that's not a visual I needed nor wanted.
First off,
so I don't need or want any other visuals of people. I want to keep my
He was
train.
too big, Faith. He was too big, Faith. How you just... Y'all know, okay, this is too much. This is really too much, but I have to say it.
That's a visual I didn't want nor need.
The first
and I'm pretty sure Biggie is rolling over his grave why you gotta take my business?
Wait, the first visual that I had, and I know this is TMI, y'all, when I first heard about this, or I read the caption on Instagram, I was like, first off, his ass is way too big for you just be spreading it wide and getting up in there. face, that's a lot of ass to be spreading. That's the first thought that popped up in my mind, y'all. I ain't shit. I already know that. So I was like, my God, Faith, you the real MVP.
Pineapple.
Because that's too much.
Pineapple.
But we also did need to know that.
And that's how I feel about, like, who knows what he's going to tell. Like, I don't care if I'm dead or alive. I don't want you exposing stuff to other people. Like, I'm pretty sure people in the industry already know some of this stuff, so it's not going to be a surprise.
It's not going to be new to them.
So the outside, people that are not in the industry, it may be some news. You never know who other people that aren't in the industry, who they know personally. But, I don't know.
I mean, at this point, everything...
Because some stuff, like, about celebrity, once you learn some stuff, certain things about them, it kind of alters, not that you put them on a pedestal, but it kind of alters your perception and how you see them. And really, it shouldn't, because everybody has a personal life. I feel like sometimes celebrities can kind of be jailed in to feel like they're just for everybody's critique or to be looked at or, viewed only. But it's just some things I just don't want to know. I feel like the only celebrity artist so far that I knew stuff about that my perception of her never changed was like Whitney Houston. Like,
that's different because Whitney Houston is like the family auntie. So it's, first off, she had already exposed herself way before the internet came about and started trying to expose her. So we already knew that. And then a lot of us had already accepted that about her, even though we always wanted her to get better. But we knew that stuff. But as far as like Quincy telling people's business, I feel like some stuff needs to be exposed for those celebrities that are on a pedestal, that are egotistical because the media made them that way. So it's like not expose them in a sense of I want you to go and be depressed for the rest of your life, but expose some stuff about them that humanizes them. So that people won't continue to be walking around here idolizing the wrong people and trying to figure out, like, why their lives are so fucked up. Look who you idolize. Yeah. So it's like, okay, this is going to humanize him or humanize her. That's why I'm like, okay, of course we want all the gossip and all of that stuff, but I also want to see the documentary so that Quincy Jones, like, begins to humanize people. Because even when he was talking about Michael Jackson, he humanized him. Mm-hmm. He was like, okay, well, Michael didn't like this, and then he stole the song from, this person, and then he didn't want to work with him. And I'm like, okay, well, that's music. That's what people do in the music industry. Yeah. But other than that, we idolize Michael Jackson in a sense of he was an original person who did everything by himself. And then we learned, no, he didn't. He was a regular person who had flaws, who sometimes needed that creative, thing to help him, and so sometimes he didn't have that, and he had to take other people's music. Yeah, that humanizes you. So I said all that to say is, I just want Quincy Jones to be really messy and tell all of the business on all of the people, so I can be sitting on the couch getting my whole entire life throwing shit at my TV, and we're moving on.
Do you think if anybody that's alive gonna run up on him like Dame Dash did Uncle Lee Daniels?
Most definitely. I think 500 people gonna run up on Quincy. They're gonna run up to his house and they're gonna be like, Q! Bring your ass outside, boy! But then his 32 children are gonna come outside. All of them different shades of the earth. They're gonna come outside and they're gonna protect their daddy. Because that's what they did when he was, like, telling too much information about Michael Jackson and everybody else. All of his daughters stepped in and were like, okay, Daddy, you're doing too much. And then that's when he issued that apology because his children stepped in. So I feel like it's going to be that. But he know what he's doing. Yeah, he knows this is about to generate money. And so does his children. That's why they all signed on.
Oh, they're in the documentary too?
No, but I'm sure they will be. Like, if Quincy Jones signs on to something, then it's inclusive of his entire family. Yeah. So it's going to generate money. Yeah. And he has to, keep his family wealthy.
And while we're plugging Netflix thing, my bae, tonight,
please.
She has her movie coming out September.
I'll keep
go
my
ahead and check
opinions
that
about
out.
Sanaa.
So first of all, you're not gonna talk about May. I don't care
I'm
if
not.
she's big Beyonce or not. That's still
Oh, wait a minute. Well, you can't be saying shit like that on this podcast.
Allegedly.
Thank you.
As much as y'all accused her.
Thank you.
Allegedly.
Okay, I don't need nobody from the hive of the bee coming after me. Okay? It's only 6 of y'all listen to this shit. Don't need it. We're moving on. Speaking of killing people, which we were not speaking about. So did y'all hear the story about this man he's from Tinder? He was on a date with another girl from Tinder, and he admitted to his date that he killed 7 other women that he met on Tinder.
Whoa.
Did you hear about this?
No.
I'm like, what kind of psycho shit? And then he said he blamed it on the voices in his head. So he's been arrested and all of that stuff. Great, take his ass off the street. But I couldn't imagine being on a date from, Tinder. First off, I'm not going on any fucking Tinder dates because I don't trust none of y'all. But I couldn't imagine being out on a date from somebody that I'm meeting because I'm trying to put myself out there and, get acquainted with people. I couldn't imagine being on a date and then my date tells me, oh, by the way, I murdered 7 other women that I met on this app, going on dates because the voices in my head told me to. And they were in a car. He was in a car while he's telling her this.
Oh, so I thought they were maybe at a sit-down restaurant.
No,
already.
I think how I was reading an article, I believe that they were in a car while she's driving. And then he tells her he's murdered 7 other women.
Were they leaving?
Tinder.
Was the date almost over or they just started?
I'm not sure about that part. I'm not even sure.
I would have drove to the nearest hospital, fire station, police department.
I would have drove to the nearest lake and jumped the fuck out before the car hit the water and let him keep going.
Crazy.
I would be scared out of my mind if you tell me some psycho shit like that. I just murdered 7 other women because of voices in my head. First off, we already know that mental illness is real. And then secondly, for you to openly admit that and feel comfortable enough to admit that to me while I'm on the date, that's going to make me automatically assume that I'm next.
Yeah. So a little pro tip for the people that go, these Tinder dates and app dates, just have, family member, friend, somebody in the cut, at the date, maybe telling y'all or something,
Do something,
But she was very lucky. That could have definitely went.
It could have been her.
Yeah, she could have been another victim.
Y'all better start a secret text code with some, emoji animals and shit, Y'all know how to do emoji talk. Just do a signal or something.
Yeah.
So y'all definitely, we all as young women.
Me too, not just the women, but me too. You heard about the lady, it was earlier this year. She met a guy online. She texted him over 10,000 times.
Oh, I did say that.
Him. So men be safe too. It's not just women. Men be safe.
That's true. Safe too. I think because we always put the burden on women to always, protect themselves. But it's okay, it's guys out here too. They don't put themselves in situations willingly. So let's be fair and tell everybody to just protect yourselves. And if you sense some crazy shit, then just leave the date and let them pay for the bill. Shit, that ain't your fault no way. You only had 2 shrimps.
In the sip of a cocktail.
Right. All right, y'all. So let's move on to the last story. I am devastated for the people of New York City public housing because they just passed, I think it's a law or some type of piece of shit.
It's a housing code.
It's a housing code where smoking will no longer be allowed in New York City public housing. And
I'm did y'all not go through the crack epidemic?
I'm
how? I don't understand. Any housing project is not the best condition to live in. And people, you just something from movies, you can see how their housing is set up. How you gonna tell somebody don't smoke in the facility and y'all elevators broke, or y'all, plumbing don't properly work, and y'all got thin walls and ceilings? You're not gonna tell me I can't smoke and I pay rent here. I'm not a smoker, but you can't tell me I can't, smoke and pay rent here, and I pay rent here and other things in the building not being fixed. That's not gonna last.
First off, you can't tell me I can't smoke when I smoke crack. What?
Weed, cigarettes,
when I smoke
anything.
Crack, when I smoke weed, when I sell drugs. You're not going to tell me that I can't smoke in my own house in which I peddle drugs out of. What are you talking about? You telling people who've been smoking cigarettes for the past 20 years that they can't smoke in their own house, it's about to be, like, all hell is about to break loose.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think the people that live in those buildings are just going to laugh at it because it's like, for one, you guys are going to have to get monitors to put in every single apartment. And I feel like the state of New York is not just going to pay for that. Like,
it's not. And then also that's an invasion of privacy.
Yeah.
So that's a lawsuit on the state of New York by everybody in public housing.
Yeah.
Because you're violating my right to privacy because you're monitoring the inside of my house.
Yeah.
So first off, that's the dumbest shit you could ever think to do because you're trying to decrease smoking or you're trying to savor public housing so that when y'all do get all the quote unquote minorities and ghetto people out, that you turn it into high-rise condos, because eventually that's what it's always going towards.
And if y'all really want to monitor smoking, then how about y'all stop letting nicotine and tobacco companies sell cigarettes to the local bodegas in the neighborhoods? Then that wouldn't happen. And then on top of that, if y'all really wanted to, like, y'all don't want people smoking in the building, which I doubt that's going to happen, maybe y'all can make a smoke ventilated room or have something where the smell doesn't, what I'm saying? Like, they have those kind of systems in place. You can get, like, a smoke ventilation so it doesn't make the building smell like smoke. But I just feel that's full of BS and that's not going to last.
It's all full of BS because I honestly don't think that they're going to make it past the first day of this code or this housing code. It's not going to get through a few hours because people just going to be like, you know how they put letters on your door saying you can't do this anymore or we're changing this? People going to look at the letter, ball that shit up, and throw it right in front of their door.
Yeah.
Like, who are you talking to? I sell drugs to your cousin who's the fucking ADA of Manhattan. Your cousin is a crackhead ADA, and you telling me I can't smoke in my own place? Okay. All right, y'all. That's it for black shit. Let's get into what the fuck Chicago. It's Mimi Wallace reporting live from the New York City Public Housing Smoking Code. Here are your weekly updates for what the fuck Chicago. 7 people have been arrested while 119 have been hospitalized during the first 3 days of Lollapalooza. All victims were taken to John Stroger Hospital for treatment, where they are still waiting to be treated. It's a long time. They're still in waiting room. Authorities are searching for a bicycling suspect accused of setting fires to garbage cans during the night hours. If you have any information on the suspect, please thank him, because now the alleys smell better. Like shitty. The brand Blue Diamond is recalling the Vanilla Almond Breeze product because it might contain milk. Even though the product is soy milk, it might contain another ingredient known as milk. Those are your weekly updates for What the Fuck Chicago. All right, y'all, let's get into the question of the week. This week's question, it was a question, but then it became more so of a statement, I think. And there was a lot of comments from everywhere. So I'm not going to read all of them, but I will read as many as I can. So this week's question was, is being straightforward considered being mean? Now, what I did was, I posted a snapshot of a conversation. It's a real text conversation I was having with the guy that I went out on one date with, right? And I'm going to read y'all the conversation. So he texts me. He says, hey. I said, hey, what's up? He said, you going to tell me what I did to keep you away? I don't feel like lying to people anymore because it takes too much energy. So I responded truthfully. I said, you showed up to the first date drunk and high, and you have too many kids. He has 4 children, and he's 30, and I don't have time for that. And then he said, laugh out loud, okay, why didn't you say anything? Now, I didn't have the last part in here, but I just put the I don't know emoji, because I don't have time for you. So this generated a lot of different comments, and let me try to find some. So we got Sexy Says, he said, I would have just blocked him when I wasn't interested. And then I told her, I was like, I can't block him because I actually work with him. I mean, it would have been easy to have blocked him because that's the easy thing to do. But I also think it would have been weird for me to block him and then go into work every day and then him just looking at me like a fucking stalker killer man. I just would have been like, I don't have time. This probably was my favorite response. So Something Like Podcast said, no, that's a grown-ass man. If he had any genuine interest in that girl, even took the date seriously, he would have shown up. He wouldn't have shown up drunk and high. The fuck you pre-gaming to go on a date for? Look, it's 2018, and nobody wants to be wasting their time. Nigga is still a joke. After all of that, he's still kikiing in that girl inbox. Or something new. If you don't like straightforward types of bitches, we not gonna last anyway. Cut your losses. All right, Something Like Podcast. I was like, all of that, because you took every thought that I just had. I have to read this one. Cloth Talk Podcast, because this is a 48-page letter, and I'm going to read the entire thing. So Cloth Talk Podcast said, geez, LOL. Sometimes being direct will come off as being mean, and I think that's not the healthiest way to communicate how you feel or your thoughts to someone. Words are very important, and the tone in which we use those words can be taken the wrong way. In this particular screenshot of the conversation, it would have been better to express your needs rather than slam the person's lifestyle into their face. LOL. Something like, I'm looking to date someone that meets the qualities and characteristics I believe I deserve. It's nothing against who you are, but I'm looking for something that meets my standards, and it could have been left at that. Just my opinion. Can't wait for your next episode. By the way, like what you're doing, keep it up. Listen here.
Some point.
Cloth Talk Podcast. Now, I do agree with some points.
Yeah.
As in, I could have worded it another way, but what I was not going to say was, I'm looking for someone with different qualities who meet my guidelines and standards of dating. Fuck that! You got too many kids, and you're a crackhead. You smoke crack, don't you, boy? Don't you smoke crack? Yes, sir, Mr. Clark. I just don't have time. Like, here's the thing. Previously, or prior to me turning 29, maybe when I was like 24, 25, I used to always, like, worry about people's feelings and saying the right things to them, especially, like, guys that I was dating, so I wouldn't hurt their feelings. But as you get older, all that shit goes out the window, and it's like, I don't have time to be sitting around here worried about saying the right things to you to preserve your feelings so that you won't be hurt. I don't have time for that. You ask me a question, I'm going to give you the answer. First off, you don't show up to a date drunk and high.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. And I'll say this, you don't show up to a first date drunk and high. Now, if you are 6 months into your relationship and y'all are together and y'all are dating, y'all can show up to the damn thing high off crystal meth. I really don't care. Okay? Y'all could have been smoking crack, meth, and sniffing paints. I don't care. That's what y'all chose to do in your relationship. But when you are agreeing to meet someone for a first date and you are trying to make an impression on somebody, you just fucked up. Because now it's like, I'm already judging you because you showed up to a first date late, number one, and then you showed up drunk and high. And so now I've already assumed everything that I need to assume about you and the type of person that you are, in which you're not the person that I want to be around. Because who the fuck shows up to a first date drunk and high?
Yeah.
So, Cloth Talk Podcast, I get where you're coming from, because some of that I do agree with. You know, sometimes you don't always have to be that straightforward, because it can be mean once you listen back to it. But then also it's like, okay, other times nobody has time to beat around the bush and try to figure out what to say to you exactly. And then this is the last one I'm going to read because too many shits out here. Let's see. Esco Art 344 said, not at all. As you become more of an adult, you realize what you can and can't put up with. You know what you want, and there's nothing wrong with being straightforward. I agree with you, girl. I agree with you, girl. But I'm just gonna have to start taking snapshots of my text conversation more often, because I was like, this shit is ridiculous. All right, y'all. So that was question of the week. Thanks to everybody who responded. Everybody on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for all your responses. And now, y'all, let's move on to the topic of the week, which we kind of talked about with in the Black Shit section. This week's topic is the Black Church. All right, y'all, because there's so much stuff surrounding the Black Church. Now, we got two different people here. I would be considered a heathen because I ain't going to nobody's church. Ashley over here, on the other hand, is as Christian gonna get.
That's a lie, but I am a Christian.
There you go. I ain't nobody's Christian. I'm me. I follow the Lord. The Lord like me. I like him. Praise God. Let it be. All right? But we're going to talk about the Black Church because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. It's very, as of now, the Black Church, when you just say that, the topic is
touchy for some people.
It is. It's very touchy. So, and speaking of that, so the first point I want to get into is now, when you think about today, what does the Black Church represent? So, what does it represent to you, Ashley?
To me, I really don't like to frame things around saying the Black Church, even though a church I grew up in when I was younger was all Black. The church I go to now is different races and ethnicities, but the main congregation is still predominantly Black. But just to say, what does the Black Church mean to me? I really don't like to give it that title. What church means to me is a place where I can go worship, a place I can get a word, get confirmation on things, understanding. So that's what church means to me. I really don't like to say like Black church, white church, denominations. I ain't really all into that. I kind of had to get away from that kind of stuff. So that's what church is to me, just a place of refuge.
Now, I agree with that in the sense of that's what it's supposed to represent. You know, that's why when I was going to church and, you know, worshiping the Lord there, I was like, okay, this is a place of worship. This is a place that I'm supposed to come to and be able to connect with God and leave all my burdens down at the altar. But now for me, the Black church represents greed. And it represents, now I'm not opposed to calling the Black church because that's what it is to me. You go around, if y'all come to Chicago and you go to the south side and the west side of Chicago, there are literally, whether they are closed or not, there are literally it's a 3-to-1 ratio, meaning there are at least 3 churches to each block.
That's true.
On the west side and the south side of Chicago.
That is true. At one point I dropped the Uber ride off, and I was on the far south side, like in the 100.
Mm-hmm.
Not lying, y'all. I legit counted 8 churches in 12 blocks. I was like, ain't no way. There needs to be 8 different churches in 12 blocks. I'm not exaggerating. It was legit 8 churches in 12 blocks.
And that's what I mean when I say it represents greed to me, because there's no way that Black pastors should not be trying to figure out how to work together. Mm-hmm. If you live in one specific community, like we live in the Austin community, I only think there should be a max of 3 to 4 churches to be able to service all of the people in the community, because there's still going to be a large group of people who don't go to church anyway.
Right, yeah.
We don't need 35 churches in the Austin community, because now that represents greed to me in the sense of, first off, y'all are not trying to work together. Yeah. You're solely focused on money over here because you're trying to take people from this congregation, from this church, and get them to come over here. So now the Black church to me has become a marketing and a recruiting effort to get people to specifically come to your church for the sense of, I need to make my congregation bigger. That's going to provide me with more money. We can finally get this $200,000 audio system that we need, or the $800,000 air conditioner unit that we need. Ooh, we can buy this and we can get more flat screens. And that's where you lost me, because now I'm like, when did the Black church become about materialism? Like when I grew up, it was the church. We had probably 50 members in there. Every Sunday we had dinner. Everybody came together and it was a potluck style. We were able to really talk to our pastors. The pastors and my grandma were so close that my brother and I were able to spend nights over there. And we talked about God, and they, told us about their family and, how to survive in life and all the good stuff. Nowadays, like when I think about a lot of Black pastors, it's like, they're not inviting you into their homes. Yeah. It's not a, hey, we're coming over here because I try to get as much as the congregation that can fit in my house. I just want to show y'all appreciation and that we're in this together. No, half the people and their pastors, they don't know where their pastors live at.
That's true. Yeah.
So I'm like, that's my issue with the Black church now. So that's why I say it represents greed to me, because now it has solely, in my opinion, become about money and marketing. How can we get more members? And the more members we get, the more money we make. So that's why I'm over here like, I'm fine on Sundays. I'll stay at home. I'll read my Bible. I'm going to read my Yana Van Zant because she be speaking truth. And I'm going to write it down. And I'm going to connect with God in my own way. And so, speaking of connecting with God in your own way, that moves to the next point of, and it kind of goes back to the first point, what is the focus of the Black church? I'm going to continue calling it the Black church because that's what it is. What do you feel like the focus of the Black church is now? Like, what was it before growing up?
That's two separate things we say, like the Black church and then the church. So anybody that follows a Christian faith, that's a believer, that the church is really just a holding ground. I don't care if you go to Hispanic church, a white church, whatever. It's just the holding place where you go to worship. If you go down south, or sometimes throughout other parts, East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, you'll see revivals. That's with just a tent. You can have a church just like that. The church is really the body of the Christ. It's the people. Church is just the building. But that's two separate conversations when you say the Black church and then the church. So just to focus on your topic, when he says the Black church, what is the focus? I can't really answer that wholeheartedly. My wish for would be for, which any church should be, Black or whatever, is to be saving souls and winning souls for Christ. Mm-hmm. That should be the focus of any church or any denomination within a church.
That's true.
The Black church, the focus, I don't know. Hopefully it would be, for one, because our biggest problem within the Black community is prison, is jail, is gangs, is drugs, is education, and so on and so on. So hopefully, I can't really answer that because I'm not a pastor, so I don't know what certain pastors are praying for. I know what I pray for, what I hope for and wish for, but hopefully that's the focus. Now, you do have, and I agree with some of your points that you made earlier, there are a lot of churches that are just greedy, and they feel like, oh, my granddaddy was a pastor, 1955. Well, that's great. Maybe your granddaddy was anointed, and he was supposed to be a pastor, but your granddaddy didn't pass on. Maybe you not anointed. Maybe you not, well, I ain't gonna say you're not anointed, but you're not supposed to be a pastor. You're not supposed to have a church. I'd rather have, like you said, 4 churches within a certain area and let all these other churches that's not really filled with the Holy Spirit, that's just performance based. I'd rather those be tear down and let them be food banks or community centers or homeless shelters. Like, I would rather see that than to see the amount of churches that we have within a block radius and they're not doing nothing. Half of them only open on a Sunday. Like, my church is open every day of the week. They have something going on every day, working with different communities internationally around the world. And you have some churches that their only focus is to be open on a Sunday and is to be performance based. So, that's really some people's churches in the black church, and their focus could be, look how well we sing, how well we dress,
yep.
What we can portray for the people, instead of really trying to have a heart for God and heart for the people.
And I agree with you on a lot of those points, because I feel like a lot of black churches are basically performance based.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I know and I understand that that's not every single church. That's
Mm-hmm.
not every single black church. That's not what their focus is.
Mm-hmm.
But for living here in Chicago and visiting different churches, whether it be on the west side, on the south side, and even the north side, and visiting these different churches and seeing that a lot of them are only performance based, that's the disgusting thing to me, because it's like, okay, well, your focus is to be the biggest church in Chicago with nothing else behind it. You just want to be the biggest church in Chicago. And like you said, it could have been, oh, we got a really great choir, so I want our choir at the church to, tear everybody up. That's stupid to me, because now you've lost focus of what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
If you really were or are anointed.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I feel like a lot of black churches don't have a focus.
Yeah.
And that's why it becomes performance based. Because I don't see any pastors out here, black pastors in our communities, holding rallies to try to figure out how can we help the people of our communities with debt. Let's teach a class, or let's get somebody out here, a financial counselor, to teach us how to get our debt down. I don't see any pastors out here holding block clubs like they used to. It's like, oh, okay, anybody can put 50 book bags together and put school supplies in it. That doesn't make you different.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, literally, and I'm actually happy about it, because of course we're judging them. But nowadays, you have literally the dope boys on the block holding
right, turkey drives,
back to school picnics for the kids. Like, nah, they need book bags. I know we some thug ass niggas, but the kids need book bags. It's time to go back to school. And they're also getting the kids book bags and gym shoes and uniforms.
Right.
You literally have the boys off of the block helping parents, when I feel like this is what the church is supposed to be doing.
That's true.
If I'm coming to your church and I'm paying tithes, because we believe that if you don't pay your tithes, then you won't be financially blessed, or you're going to hell, and you're supposed to give back because it's in the Bible. But at the same time, you're supposed to give 10% of your wealth. So whatever your wealth is, your wealth could be your time. But people nowadays only feel like it's your money. Yeah. If I'm giving you 10% of my paycheck every week, or every 2 weeks, whenever I get paid, I expect you to be using that money to put back into the community, not to put in your pockets and then get your wife a Mercedes Benz. And now your kids are flying to damn Abu Dhabi when they don't even know how to spell it. So I'm trying to figure out, that's how I really try to figure out, how the hell is the pastor flying to Abu Dhabi when this is your only source of income? You're just a pastor.
And that's not, true, because it is churches where I can say maybe only a few churches I really know, and that's sad to say because Chicago is so big and there's so many churches here, it's ridiculous, that really do go out to the community and do outreach. Like, my church is in Forest Park, which is literally like 10 minutes outside of Chicago. So our church is definitely about giving back, about prison reform, and there's so many ministries at our church. So if you ever want to go to Forest Park, go to Living Word, Google it, y'all can see the services, all that good stuff.
4 hours, 26 minutes.
And we got 3 different services. If you don't want to do that,
they each 4 hours.
You don't want to do that, just hop online, check out.
All that. That's 5 hours.
Shut up.
Because you're out.
Hop on YouTube, check out Bill Winston Ministries. You can watch an online service.
I was like,
But anyway, I do feel what you said. It's a lot of stuff that the church should be taking care of. Like, point blank period. I don't care what your denomination is. I don't care what your race, your ethnicity is. There's a lot of things that the church should be taking care of for. And and not to say that, people who are out here, in a sense, destroying the neighborhood shouldn't give back.
Right.
But the church, where a lot of people who are sinners and people that are hurting and trying to get their lives together, that should be the main people that should be out here giving back and, doing better.
And you know what? This is like a conversation I had with my grandma, who told me something about like a woman at the church, at the current church that they go to, needing help with her rent. And she's been paying tithes faithfully for like the last 5 years. And she goes to the church and she asks the pastor for help with paying her rent because she was down this month. And the pastor was like, okay, I'm going to give you this as a loan, but you have to give it back. No, you're the church. I've been paying you tithes for 5 years straight. At this point, you've collected more than $10,000 from me. You shouldn't be giving me a loan. I've literally given $10,000 to you out of the goodness of my heart to give back to the community. Now I'm asking you for help and you're telling me that you're going to give me a loan and I have to pay you back.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I have an issue with.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, okay, some of y'all be going overboard paying $600 and $700 in tithes. I know some people out here. I'm like, it ain't that much tithing in the world. That's my rent. I can't get in my rent money. I can give you some McDonald's money. You get yourself Big Mac, a number 3, to throw in a few apple pies, That's all I can do for you. I might treat you to the Dunkin' Donuts. You can get a coffee. But I'm not going to be giving you no $700 in tithes, The Lord knows my heart, and my heart knows the Lord. Okay? We're not doing that. No, but just getting back serious, that's my issue. And then we're moving on to the next point, which we just kind of talked about this. Why are so many black pastors not working together to improve the neighborhoods?
Yeah.
Because there's way too many of them here in the city alone to not be teaming up and working together. Yeah. At this point, with how many black pastors we have on the west side of Chicago,
alone,
that should have been it should have been a huge rally of I'm going to say over 25,000 people, maybe 50. Yeah. On the west side. And that's including members of the church and staff, because nowadays, this is a whole separate issue I have with the black church. It's turned into business. It's not church anymore. It's a business. It's like, okay, how I grew up, the church was a church. Everybody else had a separate job. It was like, okay, this is my anointing. This is what I'm supposed to do just because I want to help people. But I also have a separate job to bring in my income. Nowadays, the black church is a business. You got the pastor in there, and now you have, now you have a staff of 50 people at the church who are all getting paid based off of tithing and
now, I don't think anything's wrong with that if your church is really out here doing work and they're really helping people and your church really has enough people that you're outreaching and you're doing real work. But if your church is sitting back collecting money just to collect money, then I do have a problem with that. But yeah, to get back on that question, why are so many black pastors not working together? I think a lot of it has to do with ego. Yep. A lot of it has to do with, this is my denomination, so I don't believe in this. Well, newsflash, if we all believe Jesus Christ died for our sins, that's all should matter. It shouldn't matter if you Baptist, you Lutheran, you Episcopalian, you Kojic, and that's really stupid.
Hot jick.
Like all that stuff is really stupid to me, and people really need to let that go. But it's a lot of reasons why black pastors really don't work together, and I believe a lot of it is ego and jealousy. Some people seeing churches really thrive and really that church only been around a couple years. Well, maybe these people really got a heart for the people of God, and you just got a heart for your heart. You really got a heart for you.
And I'm just like, I don't understand why you are jealous that people are worshiping God. You can't explain that.
I don't think people are jealous they're worshiping God. They feel like people are worshiping, Jesus, that's a whole nother topic. Are worshiping that pastor, or they feel like everybody's congregating to that church. What is it about that church? What is it about that pastor? It may not be nothing about that church, about that pastor, but they may come in there and they feel like I'm not being judged. They may come and feel like it's really the presence of the Holy Spirit. Yeah. Your church may feel
that's
like
what the church is supposed to be.
It may feel like in some people's churches, you walk in, I'm being condemned because I got on blue jeans and a t-shirt because I ain't got on a 3-piece suit or a skirt and a slip with some heels and a 15-button blouse.
I'm not a missionary. I'm not wearing no skirts every day.
Some people feel like that, but I believe the biggest two reasons why that occurs, especially here in Chicago, is because of ego and jealousy.
I agree with you. Those are the main points. And then this is a little off topic, but going back to what you said, people nowadays, it's sad to say, but God, when you think about God and you think about Jesus, they're not even the focal point anymore, because people are now out here worshiping the pastor as if he is a God or as if she is a God. Yeah. And I'm like, what? Yeah. And nowadays, when you talk to black people and everybody goes to a different church, it's always, oh, my pastor better than yours. You should come to my church. Oh, girl, no, I can't go to your church because your pastor bored. My pastor this. My pastor that. And it's like, girl, your pastor sleeping with your husband, okay? Your pastor cheating on his wife. The wife know he cheating. He got 6 kids out of wedlock. This is happening. He's stealing from the church. He's $500,000 in debt. Your pastor is a hoe. But don't nobody want to say that because the pastor is being worshipped as a god. And it's like, no.
That's a problem.
That's a man.
That's a problem in the church, period. Black church, regular church, Hispanic church, that's a problem in the church.
It really is.
It's a big problem.
The big problem is a lot of whole pastors out here.
That's true.
And I'm like, this is why I can't go to your church. Now, I know we're not supposed to be judging people, but we are working on that. Because I judge people every day. Every time they walk past me, I'm like, oh, she ugly. And I'm trying to work on it. But it's going to take a long time. I don't think it's going to be fixed until I'm 64, okay? I'll be judging people until I'm 64.
That's a long time.
I know myself.
That's a long time.
I know myself. No, but for us, like, your pastor is a person. Your pastor is flawed. Why are you holding this man or this woman up on a pedestal so high? And now this is where the ego comes in, because they walk into the church every day and they're being cheered on, and they literally have a fan club of people who are paying them false compliments every day that they go into the church. Yeah. It's like, oh, you the best. You did that. First off, I have a real issue with a lot of black pastors recycling sermons. I pay attention. Yeah. I pay attention.
It's a lot of pastors, not just black pastors, it's a lot of pastors that research sermons. Listen,
now, I'm not even talking about stealing, because that's a whole different thing. Now, when I was going to church, and I'm going there every Sunday and paying about, $10 a tithe, that's all you're going to get from me. I noticed...
10% of your income, but
you're not getting 10% of my income. I had bills to pay. If I gave you 10%, I wasn't going to be able to pay my car insurance. I already had 23 tickets. Shit. I can't be giving you money that I got to pay back to the city of Chicago. Try to be a better person. Sometimes you got to compromise. My compromise, you get $10. Take this, shut your mouth. Here's my thing. I need all the prayer in the world. Here's my thing, though. Definitely forgot my point. Forgot my whole point. At this point, it don't matter. I just got mad. 10%. Man, I got $236 in tickets.
I mean, that's another discussion for another day, but 10% is a commandment. It's not really like what people make. But anyway, let's keep going.
Oh, Jesus, help me. Help me. I forgot my point. It went out the window. So we're moving on to the last point, which is, why should I go to church?
That's real simple. You should want to go to, your only reason for wanting to go to church is to continue to grow and build your relationship with God. There's no other reason. I don't care if it's 5 people in the congregation. I don't care if it's 5,000 people in the congregation. Your reason of going to church is to get closer with God. And not to say Sunday is the only day or Wednesday is the only day. You should, your goal as a believer, even if you're not a believer and something in my life ain't right and I need to get together, your goal should be trying to get closer to God every day and turn to the image of how he sees you and how he wants you to be and live your life. So yeah, that should be your only reason. It shouldn't be because of people. It shouldn't be because of choir sing good. It shouldn't be because, all the fine dudes go to 11 o'clock service. It shouldn't be, because, I want to show off my new outfit. It shouldn't be any of those things, because if you're going to church for that, you might as well just go to the club or not go to church at all.
I mean, that's it. And I think people should go to church. And I think I will eventually go back to church. I have to find a church that's basically serving the purpose of connecting with God.
Mm-hmm.
And when I find that, first off, for myself, I can't go to a big congregation because there's too many distractions. And that's
always, true for some people. Yeah. Some people, they can't do big congregations. Some people really can't. It's not for them.
It's a lot of distractions. I'm always going to find something to, talk about. It's like I have a thing with all these, what do you call them? All the different committees. It's like, why is it 436 committees? We don't need a t-shirt committee. We don't need a walk with me committee. We don't need a hot towel committee. This is too much.
What kind of church you went to growing up?
I almost cursed and then start talking about God. This is real. You have all these committees at the
true.
church.
Some churches do have.
And I'm like, what is this? Why we just can't come in here, praise the Lord, listen to the choir cry, and then go home? For the people who want to pay their tithes, go ahead and do that. I'm getting in my car, so I go down to the city of Chicago office and pay my tickets off. If I have some money left over, then I think about giving it to the church. Otherwise, it's going to the Dunkin' Donuts.
And don't y'all be judging her either, because some of y'all used to do it.
Y'all do the same thing.
I used to do it too, so you can't judge nobody.
I've pay tithes in other ways. Okay? So, we're moving on, but go to church if you want to, connect with the Lord. Find the right church for you. Until then, however you connect spiritually and mentally with God, you're perfectly fine. So I don't want anybody to be judging people saying that you must go to church.
Right, yeah.
You have to go to church, because as long as you're finding a way to connect with God, because you really want to work on being a better person and connecting spiritually and mentally, then you're fine.
Yeah.
You really are. I'm just trying to get like Oprah. Oprah don't go to church. Oprah
she do.
Oprah sit in her backyard.
First of all, it's a TV show.
she sit in her backyard. That is 796,000 acres. She got a bridge, a swamp, an ocean, and a pool. She has animals that don't ever come outside. Okay? She has the living and the dead in her backyard. That's what I want. That's going to be my church. I'm trying to go to church like Oprah. I can't go to church in my backyard now because I don't have one. That's my goal in life. Oprah don't go to church.
She do go to church, yeah, I don't believe.
What a church? Oprah live in Beverly Hills, Calabasas somewhere.
There's churches in California?
Yeah, I know that. But her church is in her backyard.
Listen, that's the TV show all. Go to that topic. Don't y'all listen to her.
Oprah go to the Super Soul Sunday church. I go to the church of Super Soul Sunday. That's where I go to. And I am freed every Sunday. We're moving on, y'all. Because we can talk about the black church. I know I can forever. Because there's a lot of other stuff that I wanted to talk about, but I forgot. My mind went blank. Let's move on to Ratchet Drink Chronicles. Now, I was going to make myself a different drink, but I was like, I don't have time for that today. Instead, I am being bourgeois. And again, I am drinking on sangria. I don't know what the sangria's name is, or what brand they came from, or whose family made it. I just know it tastes good. And that's what I'm drinking. Ashley, what's your ratchet drink over here?
Drinking some purified water from the greatest Sam's Club. You can get 48 bottles for $3.44.
That's ratchet. Just drinking the water from the Sam's Club. It's just called purified water. So that's it.
It is.
It's not even a brand. Water. That's what makes it ratchet.
That is a brand. It's purified water.
No, a brand
it's
like
better than Dasani. That is the most,
Dasani.
and that Aquafina and Dasani is the worst two water brands in the world.
Aquafina, Dasani, and purified water all come from the sewage system of the city of Chicago.
No, they do not.
This shit. Let me tell y'all something. When we be out here paying $3 for a bottle of water, they go to the back of the damn restaurant and fill these bottles up with tap water. It's all. I don't believe for a hot second that half of the water that is distributed, especially in marketing schemes, is actually purified water. I really don't believe it. Now, if you really drink water, you can really tell the difference between
the difference in water
how
and
each water tastes, how each bottle of water tastes, or how the brands are.
My personal favorite is Life Water. Maybe that could be, you can have people hop on IG and Facebook for the real water drinkers. What's their favorite water brand?
That might be the question.
And mine is Life Water. They sell it at Target.
And mine is water.
You know what?
Because I get thirsty. I grew up poor, so when you have water, you drink it. Be like, mine is brown. Drink
Speaking
it!
of water, can y'all help the people in Flint? Because this is ridiculous. They still don't have clean water. And I feel like everybody that work in the government in the state of Michigan needs to be sued. That's just my personal take.
First off, that's an entirely different story. They're going to be suing I forget exactly who it was, who knew that there was lead in the water, but continued to go on as if it wasn't happening. That person is being sued. Was that the mayor or someone of Michigan? I forget exactly who it was.
I don't know, but they got a movie about it on Netflix with Jill Scott.
Is that on Netflix?
So,
now?
yeah, you can go on there and watch it. They basically tell the story of how it happened. And they also have a documentary just about Flint, Michigan in itself. But, yeah, they still don't have clean water, people. So, if you can still donate. Yeah, because it's really sad.
Flint, Michigan they need so many resources. It's ridiculous. I was watching that documentary on Netflix called Flint about the police of Flint, and then just looking at the city and them riding around. The city of Flint, Michigan looks like it's worse than the west side of Chicago. It's horrible. It's worse than West Jackson.
Yeah.
And you ever been in West Jackson, Mississippi? I'd be like, well, Jesus Christ, goddamn. Anybody live here? So it's just terrible. They need a lot of resources. So we have work to do. Yeah, let's get into some shout outs. I'm not doing that. I just feel like it. So the first shout out goes to Kelly Owens, who is a local Chicago actress. Now, on my other podcast, y'all, which I also want y'all to go subscribe to, that's Meditations, Conversations, and Libations. Yes, I know the title is long as fuck, but spell it out. Y'all figure it out. MCL. So I had the chance to interview her for an upcoming episode, and she's a Chicago actress. And as soon as I saw her, I was like, you were on Empire. Now, we had a great conversation. She gave me some great advice about, we were talking about leaving corporate America and just going for your dream. So, and then she told me to call and email her at any time. And yeah, she has an impressive resume. Y'all can go and visit her website, kellyowens.com. That's basically like her resume. The website is super dope. So shout out to Kelly Owens. I really enjoyed that interview. Also shout out to Candy Gomez, who again got the chance to interview her for the other podcast. And Candy is a former radio DJ for B96 here in Chicago, and she currently works for, I forget whatever the country music station is. I'm like one of the few black people who loves country music. And then she also works for the Illinois Film Institute. And so I'll be working with her soon. That was a really fun interview. So thank you, Candy. Thank you to my producing partner for the other podcast, Omar McClinton. We are making things happen. And so I have another project in the works that I'll tell y'all about later. It's going to be really cool. And shout out to, I had a great time. I got cursed out.
I did too. Oh, I didn't get cursed out, but I had a great time.
I cursed out by the one and only, y'all know as Maxine Shaw, attorney at law, Erica Alexander. Woo! Single. It's a 90s kind of world. I'm glad I got my girl. Keep your head up. What? Keep your head up. That's right. Homeboy, move to the left. Remember right, true blue.
I shine like glue. It's tight like glue. Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the black person who don't really know the words, but I just sing them, and then they sound right.
She's really like nice. This. She's a sweet lady. Gave us some really great advice. So shout out to Erica. I definitely look forward to working with her in the future.
And we got until what we got until
the 17th of
the
this
17th
month to submit for competition. So y'all pray for us and send us some good strong prayers that we get to work with her in the future.
Please do. I literally asked her one question, and then she asked me, who was the filmmaker. Everybody pointed to me, and she was like, "You gonna submit?" And I'm like, "I'll try." And she's like, "What you mean try?" I was like, "Oh my God, why are you screaming at me? I'm so scared." But no, it was a really good panel. She was here for WakandaCon in Chicago, and we got to see her in a panel of writers, directors, creators, and just basically creatives, and it inspired us. So shout out to Erica Alexander and the entire panel at the, what was it called? Keep It Colorful event.
Mm-hmm.
And then Erica's company is called Color Farm Media, in which she is going on a tour throughout the United States, and she is helping people of color become creative content creators. So to get our content out there. So shout out to her.
Yeah.
And then shout out to our new creative group that we just made called, I renamed us the Creative Chicks, but
I like that.
At the event where we were meeting Erica Alexander, so it's myself, Ashley, my friend Dee Dee, and we met two other girls, Kim and Kia. And we shout out to Kim and Kia and Dee Dee. We all basically just stood around for 30 minutes, just talking, having a conversation, introducing ourselves and what we do, and basically formed a group right there. Like, we're creatives and we have to work together. So we are in the stages of planning a meetup so that we can figure out how we can work together.
Yeah.
Black
really
people,
dope.
Black creators, y'all find some people. Go to events and just speak up, find some people, introduce yourselves, and start creating shit.
Yeah, and don't be intimidated if if you don't have any experience in film or TV. There's a lot of people that got content on the internet, TV, and all these smart TV app channels that don't have an ounce of experience in TV and film, and they're still out here doing it. So don't let that be a discouragement. If you really want to get into it, of course you're gonna have to read some books, learn up on some stuff, and watch some webinars and attend events. But don't let you not having any experience be a hindrance.
There you have it. And that's it for my shout outs. And then let's go into my new segment, which I keep telling you every week. Don't steal my shit because it's catchy. So this week in Therapy Free, you get it? Free therapy. It's okay. First off,
I love you, Amy. So say, yeah, keep friends humble,
That's rude. I've been humble all my life. All my life I've been humble. I think it's catchy. But y'all, you know what? My feelings are not hurt. And I am fine.
I love you, baby.
Go away. Because, now I have to give the people therapy advice. When I am struggling, obviously. Gosh,
I like
that bitch.
I like
No, you don't have to like it. I like it.
See what happened when you straightforward? That's how that boy probably felt.
His feelings were hurt like shit. Damn, this hurt. Ooh, he was in the house drinking and playing Grand Theft Auto 89. Y'all, let's just take a moment. Because I have to gather myself before I start giving y'all therapy advice. All right, so this week in Therapy Free, God damn it. What I wanted to tell y'all is simply, it's deeper than that. Meaning that your outer behavior is almost always rooted in your inner battles. So, I'm a therapist. When we react outwardly to some people who have simply not done anything to us but try to share advice or give us kind words or just say something that we know was truthful but we were not able to accept it at the time, That's outward behavior, and that's rooted in your inner battles. Because you've already been thinking that about yourself. You've already been doubting yourself. You've already been saying that, or feeling like you were a failure, or you've already been judging yourself based on what you feel like you haven't accomplished yet. So the thing is, it's deeper than that. It's deeper than an outward reaction. You don't always have to react negatively to someone who's simply there to support you. Now, the thing is, a lot of us don't know how to accept support. We don't know how to accept criticism, but we're always willing to dish it and give it out. So the point of this week's Just Stare Free is, like last week was, admit or just accept that you have an issue or you have a concern that you need to address or address your concern. And this week is basically learn how to sometimes just listen. You don't always have to react to everything that is being said.
Preach.
Sometimes just listen to what people are telling you. Of course, it's going to take you time to process it, because when they first tell you, you're going to be mad, you're going to be upset, you're going to feel like you're being judged. But then if you really listen and you go take time to process, you'll really see and figure out that there was a lot of truth in it. So that's why I say it's deeper than that. Your outer behavior is almost always rooted in your inner battles.
It's deeper than that.
Deeper than that. It's deeper than that.
Rap.
It's deeper than that.
I'm trying to make this song. I really
But
can't
it
rap.
is deeper than that.
Speaking of songs, make sure y'all check in and watch Insecure this weekend.
It's deeper than that. Bars.
Season
Insecure.
3.
Season 3.
Shout out to Issa
Bars.
Rae.
Shout out to Issa.
Shout out to Yvonne Orgy.
Bars. Shout out to
Shout out to the whole
Yvonne
Insecure
Orgy.
cast.
Bars. Shout out to
Shout out to
cast.
J.R. Bland.
Bars. Shout out to J.R. Bland and all the black people traveling across the land. Bars. Shout out to...
Hey, side note, he really do get a nice little traveling group.
He be traveling. J.R., where you get this money from? How much
I
money you make, son? J.R., where you get the money from? God damn it, how much you make, son? J.R., can I get on your group or some shit? J.R., when is y'all next trip? J.R., bars. I got bars.
Y'all want her? I'm giving her away. Meet me at Lake Street.
I'm up for sale.
In Pulaski.
J.R. I got bars. J.R. He really be... I'm like, God damn.
They do be traveling. They got a nice little travel
They
group.
travel in groups of 10 or more. They gotta be like, where do y'all work?
They got a nice little group.
How many paid vacation days do y'all get out?
I'm pretty sure they all work for themselves.
That's what we trying to do over here, because I can't keep working for the man, because I'm the woman, okay? Know that. Alright, it's too hot. I'm losing my mind. Alright, you guys, at the end of the show, make sure you go and follow VIBEZ Podcast on Facebook at VIBEZ Podcast. Twitter, the same thing, and Instagram is ASKVIBEZ. That's Ask VIBEZ. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Castbox, Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, and now iHeartRadio.
Hey, moving
She
on
a
up
ball.
in the world.
She a motherfucking bomb. Baby. And SoundCloud. Can't never forget SoundCloud. So VIBEZ is on all of those platforms. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to do what? Listen to motherfucking podcast on baby. Alright. And you guys, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Facebook at MEME Wallace. That's Mimi with 2 E's. On Twitter and Instagram, it's Mimi the Actress. Ashley, you want people to follow you?
Don't follow me. No. I'm okay. Don't follow me. I like my privacy.
Jesus Christ. I should keep telling people that we ain't shit the whole episode. You're not invited back. I don't. Jesus. You ain't shit. Your ideas ain't shit.
What?
We at a standstill.
When have I ever said this?
Never. You guys, make sure you email me your question. What was your question you had for question of the week? About water.
So for the next podcast, what's your favorite water? Is it Fiji? Is it Dasani? Is it Life Water? Is it Essential? Is it the water that come in a cardboard box?
I jump in that beer like water. Water. I jump in that beer like water. Ugly God. That was a real song.
I know. Maybe that could be an intro for the next song. So yeah, what's your favorite water?
Like so yeah, you guys, make sure you email me your favorite brand of water to askvibes@gmail.com. That's askvibez@gmail.com. Or you can email me any thoughts that you have about the Black church or any experiences that you have. Send me an email. And
please put, concise, full sentences, not run-ons.
Please don't put...
Use the proper periods.
My God.
And commas.
My God.
And proofread your
paragraphs
my God. Before you send them in, please.
My
please
God.
Thank you.
Preach. If y'all send me an email and it say, my favorite brand of water is Aquafina, because when I was 9, my mama kept buying it all the time, but she would go to Aldi's, but Aldi's was closed, so we had to go to the Jewels, and then maybe Jewels was closed, so we went to the corner store, and then the Aquafina's $3.99 a bottle, but then I had to give me a bag Flame Hot, so I'm deleting the fuck out of you. You're not going to send me an email like that. That's how y'all write nowadays, which I don't understand. Actually gonna make it. Drink some water. Look. Any water brands of water want to sponsor Vibes Podcast, feel free to email me also.
Yeah, that's dope. And maybe we could partner with something so we could send some water to Flint, like real life.
For real. We need some sponsorships and all that good stuff. So you guys, it's time to end the show.
So long. Farewell. To you, my friends.
Farewell. Try. What you mean, try? You better get it done. You keep waiting on other people. You gotta always be waiting on other people.
Shout out to Aaron.
Shout out. And we out this bitch.